The floor is yours, Dr. Ganapathy. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for that introduction. I wish my parents had been here. They almost would have believed it. It is going to be impossible in 900 seconds to tell you what my team has done in the last 22 years. Nevertheless, I shall try. You're able to see the slides, please? Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, we are. We can see your slide.
Yeah, because once I gave a talk without anybody seeing the slide. Okay. It all started actually in 1998 when I had the audacity to write to the Association of Rural Surgeons of India 24 years ago and suggest to them that technology-enabled healthcare is doable in suburban and rural India. Thanks to the fantastic encouragement given by Padma Vibhushan Pratap Sri Reddy, the founder chairman of the Apollo Group, he was the only one who realized that this would one day be a reality. Honestly, none of us foresaw that a strand of RNA would act as a global CTO, Chief Transformation Officer, and in 2 years, what we could not do in the preceding 20 years. The first 5 to 7 years was exciting purely because Apollo Hospitals was unique. We had presidents from African countries, from European countries. Here you see photographs of the president of Nigeria, Prime Minister of Mauritius, Prime Minister of Macedonia, President of Uganda.
Sorry, Dr. Ganapathy, your slides are not moving. You have to go to slideshow and move your slides.
No, I know, I was moving the slide. Now is it moving?
No, it's not. Go to slideshow.
Now?
No, it's stuck.
Can you go to the tab slideshow and start from the beginning? And then you can click enter for each slide to come forward.
It is moving on my screen.
No, just go to slideshow. Go to the last icon, press it, please.
This go to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 tab.
So on the new share, I've clicked on new share.
That's fine. Now on your slide deck, you're at the home button, but go to the slideshow button.
Okay.
And then hit that. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Is it seen now?
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can see all the dignitaries.
Probably you have gone forward, but if you want
sorry
to
about that. Okay, so this slide you see the Prime Minister of Mauritius, Prime Minister of Macedonia, and so on. Is the next slide seen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. This is really a unique slide. If you see the date stamp, 31st of October 2001. I'm not aware of any place in the planet where tele-echocardiography was done. Unfortunately, this video, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but you can see our pediatric cardiologist who interpreted as many as 200 pediatric echocardiograms over a 2-year period and handheld, telementored a technician in the village of Aragonda. Unfortunately, we were so busy with regular clinical work, we were unable to publish this as such. The next slide you see, today it looks very silly, but believe me, in 2002, in fact, the date says March 26, 2002, it was exactly on this day that I represented India, Apollo Hospitals represented, and spoke on an intercontinental teleconference. Bill Gates was the previous speaker, but of course he spoke and went without listening to me. And on the bottom left, you can see how the whole concept of telemedicine was so novel in 2010, 2015. We had students from Harvard Business School, from Yale School of Management, University of Michigan, Georgia State University, Wharton, London School of Economics, and so on. I always felt that engineering colleges would be the best place to start because engineering colleges already had internet connection, departments of computer technology, and so on. And so we concentrated on engineering colleges and succeeded, even 20 years ago, a few of the colleges to start telemedicine units in their premises. In 2007, we held the first international telemedicine conference in India, something truly unique at that time. 350 delegates from India and 50 from overseas. The picture on the left looks absolutely silly today. On my smartphone, I can get people from 5 different continents, multi-point video conferencing on my smartphone with 4G connectivity. But believe me, in 2001, the Consul General of the United States of America thought this was an event important enough. So did the Consul General from Japan, to to visit Apollo hospitals to formally inaugurate the first neurosurgical teleconference with universities in the United States and Japan. This was how it all started. I strongly believe that patient empowerment is the way to go, knowledge empowerment, and most health conditions can probably be prevented if only we promote health literacy. Promoting health literacy the E-way, that was our motto. Professor M.S. Swaminathan, a world-renowned agricultural scientist, he runs the M.S. Swaminathan Foundation, and more than 20 villages, we entered into an agreement with him. And this was very exciting for us. For about 6 years, twice a month, we would hold multi-point video conferencing educational programs in the local language. About 300 to 400 villages would attend this, and more than 40,000 villagers have benefited with this knowledge empowerment over a 5-year period. The Pan-African E-Network, started by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. Unfortunately, due to various reasons, including political, it had to be disbanded after 8 years. But for 8 years, from my department in Chennai, we were connected to 42 countries in Africa, constituting the entire Pan-African network. And you can see on the top right-hand side, the body language speaks for itself, how attentive these people were listening to lectures. Again, Apollo Hospitals Chennai had the unique distinction of contributing almost 50% of all the CME programs and more than 50% of all the patients seen at that time. Healthcare in the most treacherous area on planet Earth. This is in the Himalayas at a height of 14,800 feet, temperature minus 25 degrees centigrade. The government of Himachal Pradesh were persuaded to give us a chance to do what was Asia's first public-private partnership. And we took a challenge from the chief secretary. I so vividly remember making the presentation to him. And on the top right is a photograph showing how patients were taken to the nearest hospital, which is 250 kilometers away. Today, 5 years later, we have set a benchmark, and today we have many more public-private partnerships. I am not a CEO by training. I do not know anything about profit and loss, business management. I'm more an academician, a teacher, and a researcher. And with this background, we capitalized, exploited this, so to say. And here you can see several books, several publications, a healthcare information technology on monograph was brought out, and dozens of papers, many of which today have been used as standards. In fact, a Google Scholar review said that articles published from ATNF alone have been downloaded more than 45,000 times and cited in Google Scholar more than 200 times. One particular paper, Distribution of Neurologists and Neurosurgeons in India and its relevance to the adoption of telemedicine, has been downloaded 17,875 times and now is used as a standard in the deployment of neurosurgeons in most countries in the world. These are all details of the webinars which we have contributed to, podcasts, TV interviews, etc. The first 15 years was spent in evangelization and creating awareness. We tried to follow in the footsteps of Dr. Pratap Reddy. I think the greatest achievement of Apollo hospitals is not the 72 Apollo hospitals, but rather proving to India that a for-profit dividend-declaring corporate hospital is doable in a so-called third world environment. Similarly, I would like to think that we set the way, and today we have at least 30 to 40 telemedicine institutions in India which have very good telemedicine departments. The government of India has launched the e-Sanjeevani network, and it is most gratifying that no less a person than the Prime Minister mentions telehealth every time he addresses the nation. So the public-private partnership, I'm not going to bore you with all these numbers. Numbers by themselves don't mean anything. What is equally important is that the huge numbers we are dealing with, we do not dilute quality. And I think that is the most important lesson we have learned. Even for the 13 million teleconsultations we have given so far in a public-private mode, the same quality is maintained throughout. Tele-radiology services, tele-emergency services. We run the world's only 24/7 tele-emergency services at a 15,000 feet height. CSR, corporate social responsibility. The University of Pittsburgh has entrusted it with a major project in a tribal village about 350 kilometers away from Ahmedabad in Gujarat. They give us a grant of about $150,000 a year. And for the last 2.5 years, we have been doing this very successfully. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, a very major partner of ours, we had to stop the CSR activity. But when it was on, we did an NCD screening of 1.5 million persons, which by itself may not be very unique. But what was unique was we provided teleconsultations in a camp mode. We enabled the people visiting a camp for screening to instantaneously contact diabetic counselors, psychological counselors, doctors, etc. And we provide them with almost a one-stop treatment for diabetes, obesity, and so on. But because of time constraints, I'm not going into the details, excepting that we do audio consultations, video consultations, etc. We now do about 23,000 e-transactions every single working day. The journey that began 20 years ago, today we have 110 teleclinics in a franchisee mode, more than 800 healthcare centers in a public-private partnership mode in many states throughout the country. We believe that training alone is not enough. We concentrate on unlearning, untraining, if I want to use that word, retraining. We are always up to date, and we believe in being future ready all the time. So this you can see, POCT, point of care diagnostics. We have that, and today we literally provide laboratory services in the remotest parts. We do not want to be behind the times. We are future ready. Just 2 weeks ago, we completed an excellent POC, proof of concept validation, with the Niti Aayog, the Government of India's Planning Commission, World Economic Forum, and the Government of Telangana. And over a period of 4 months, with several hundred drone flights, we have now fine-tuned the whole thing, and now we are ready to make it absolutely escalate this and do it in a much bigger way. So drones is going to become an integral part. A couple of years ago, the chairman said, I quote, "We need to double our doctors, triple our nurses, quadruple our paramedics." Ladies and gentlemen, this is just not going to happen, not in the lifetime of my great-great-grandchildren. Last year, Dr. Reddy publicly announced treatment outside hospitals is going to be the future of healthcare. I presume that the days of huge multi-speciality hospitals, mega hospitals, 1,000 beds, 2,000 beds are going to be a thing of the past. I foresee that in the years to come, and I'm not talking of the distant future, I'm talking of very soon, hospitals will only have ICUs, trauma units, and procedure-related events, wards only for procedures. The hospital will be where the patient is. A doctor in your pocket, a laboratory in your pocket, a hospital in your pocket, an ICU in your home. As retail becomes stronger, what will move out to the hospital? Everything will move out to the hospital, according to McKinsey. This is a report done by McKinsey. It is not what I am saying. Vaccines, physical examinations, outpatient departments, diagnostic procedures, date procedures, laboratory procedures, and so on. Smart health kiosk, again, a trial is now going on. Apollo is doing this with many corporates, and I'm sure that in the next couple of years, this will become our way of life. As I mentioned earlier, we are obsessed with quality control, thanks to what we inherited from the Apollo Hospital Group. And we are very delighted that in December, we acquired the world's first ISO 13131 certification for telehealth services. This ensures, because re-audit will be done, this ensures that we always keep up to the mark. What you see here is our office in Hyderabad, one of the largest medical call response centers in this part of the world. A couple of years ago, when I spent a few hours in a virtual reality environment, I never in my wildest dreams dreamt that Apollo hospitals, Chennai, Delhi, and other places would have simulation laboratories state of the art. And I'm sure that very soon we will have people coming from all over the world to visit our simulation laboratories. The metaverse, no less a person than Zuckerberg, renamed Facebook as Meta, and the metaverse is what is going to be the future. The future of telemedicine, I believe that telemedicine is no longer going to be considered as a separate standalone entity. It will only be a small component of what we like to call digital health. And I'm happy that the next two speakers after Dr. Pramod will be talking on digital health. And personally, I don't like the word telemedicine. Medicine implies a one-to-one relationship between a doctor and a patient. Today, we are talking of healthcare. We are not talking of diagnosis and treatment. We are talking of keeping all of us healthy the e-way. Promoting wellness, I think, is what can be done remotely. I would like to conclude with this photograph, which I got just 3-4 weeks ago. India, ladies and gentlemen, is a paradox. On the one hand, our global developmental index is in triple figures. We are still referred to as down south. But where else in the world will you see 10 below poverty level farm laborers chartered a bullock cart for $2.50 for a round trip, traveling 50 kilometers from the remotest part to reach an Apollo Telemedicine center, and for 0 rupees, free of cost, in 25 minutes, all these people were able to connect to the same dermatologists, the same family physicians who treat the urban elite in Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai, and so on. Where in the world will you see a globally renowned chain of hospitals using technology to reach the remotest centers? This is the real India, and I am sure that in my lifetime, these bullock carts are going to be replaced by electric vehicles, electric three-wheelers, electric two-wheelers, and I'm absolutely sure that India will no longer be referred to as a developing country. In conclusion, I would like to mention that if Moses were to come down to the earth today and once again tell us the 10 commandments, he would preface every single commandment with the words, "Thou shalt digitally transform." I think we all know this. And again, I was shocked. I was not surprised. I was shocked when in the budget, I heard the finance minister talking about taxing digital assets. The Reserve Bank of India talking about cryptocurrency. I mean, who says India is backward? I really think we are as forward as most of the countries in the world. You can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. We need to be future ready. Many of us are afraid of the future. We cling desperately to the present, not realizing that we have already become the past. I dream of the day in my lifetime when there will be no need for a telemedicine society of India. After all, there is no stethoscope society of India. The telemedicine should be an integral part in the armamentarium of everybody, whether it is nuclear medicine, space medicine, pediatrics, fetal medicine, whatever it is. It should just be a tool, and people like us who try to promote this, we should be out of a job, and I would be the happiest person if I am out of a job. Thank you once again. Thank you, Dr. Anupam. Thank you, Dr. Tandon, for the superb work you have done in putting all this together. I look forward to the other speakers.
Thank you, Dr. Ganapathy, for that inspirational talk.